encouraging to cross the road in front of the drivers. And taxis are expensive, just like a lot of other things, but they can be super essential after the trains stop running, which is usually like when you live with maybe 1 to 12. And the driver opens the door. He's got like a little lever, and it opens the back door for you, so he doesn't have to interact with you in case you're like a crazy axe murderer. In my experience, most stations, even the small ones, have some kind of taxi stand. If you really get out loonies, they might not. But you've got a good, solid chance. And there's no tipping, because tipping does not exist in Japan. It's not so bad. Thank you so much. Okay. Living accommodations. This is not where I lived. So there are 3 kinds of hotel-ish. There's hoteru, which is hotel. Ryote and Minshuku, as well as hostels. So hoteru are Western style. Ryote are big sort of Japanese style hotels, though there are some that are like super traditional and some that are like not traditional at all. And Minshuku are like a bed and breakfast basically, and they have to serve you dinner as well as breakfast. I made a poor decision about that bus one time, one of those times, and I was like, I know what I'm doing, and all those people getting on the other bus are dumb. And I was like, no, that's wrong. And the person running the Minshuku actually called me up and was like, you're late for dinner? And I was like, we're stuck in the middle of nowhere for like another hour until bus comes. She was like, well, fine. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I need to be late. So for hostels, I recommend Case House. It's a New Zealand chain that's in a lot of places in Japan. Although all of the hostels in Japan are very clean and hotel-like and nice. So other than that, where you go. So apartments are mostly the same as here, although generally smaller. There's one big sort of cultural difference, which is key money. So key money is a fee you pay to the landlord when you first rent your apartment. It's about usually 1 to 3 months rent, and you will not get this money back. That is on top of a deposit, which you can get back, but you will not get key money back. It's just like, here, have a present. So you wanna jump in. What's up? Did you get your key money back?
Well, the good news is that key money is actually going out of style.
It is going out of style, yeah, but I'm just like, if you go up to a landlord and they're like, pay me key money, I'm like, this is what it is. I didn't have to pay it because I inherited the person before me her apartment, so the key money had already been paid. But just so you're aware that that is a thing that can happen. Japanese houses generally don't have central heating. Again, this is a thing that is very slowly happening. But they rely on the AC unit usually, the kotatsu, and maybe a couple of little space heaters. So, you get cold, even if it's not that cold. And if you live in a place where it snows, you get super cold. Also, most Japanese homes don't have a dryer, even if they have a washing machine. So there's a tiny balcony that you see on like most apartments, and that is not really, there's like not usually space for a chair. That is basically for drying your clothing. Or freeze drying it in winter. Most kitchens also don't have an oven or a dishwasher, but you can bake in your microwave, which is pretty cool. Make toast. My microwave made toast. It's pretty excited. Most of Japan is really, really, really hot and humid in the summer. Think Alabama. According to people I knew who were from Georgia, they were like, this is a normal summer. And I was like, no, this is not normal. This is way too hot. I can't live. Spent one summer basically just like inside because I was like, I can't with that. It's too hot. But this means everything can get moldy, including the inside of your like washing machine. So kabi killer, which is a mold killer. So bleach and spray form, air conditioning, and cold showers are your best friends in the summer. There's a lot of ways to deal with the heat, but I was just like, I've remained, and this is the worst, and I can't live this way. But discovered at the beginning of one summer that my fan was broken, and I was like, it's too late, it's already too hot, I can't go outside and get a new one. But again, we went to the fall. I was like, I can't, it's too much.
And after you the Jordans, right?
Huh?
And then when you got back the Jordans and got the code?
No, it's not that cold, at least not where I lived. We didn't really get snow. This is a Henkai. That's my school principal and the teacher, the PE teacher is in the Santa uniform. Because PE teachers are the dad joke providers of the Japanese school system. They're great. Anyway, so if you work in Japan, you will encounter something called an enkai. So an enkai is a work-specific party that you will have after work. There's some that there's at least 2, I would say, every year, big ones that you have to attend, and small ones that we're in work group. So drinking with your coworkers is considered both like a bonding experience and a social obligation. Like you need to go to the enkai. If you don't, then you will be like sort of deliberately like not forming. Like you'll be deliberately making yourself an outsider, basically. Oh, whoops! I went too far. Scary. So enkais are official work parties. My school we had one every couple of months with 3 major ones per year. Yeah. The after graduation one, the Bonenkai, which is the end of the year, forget the year party. And I forget what the other one was because it's been like 4 years. I apologize. But yeah, so we would go and we would, like this is the Bonenkai, the end of the year, forget the year party, where you drink until you forget everything that happened. And play weird games like the one where you get 4 people and you tie a bunch of stockings to each other and you have to put a stocking over their head and they pull with their head until, only one person has a stocking left on their head. Or you build like pyramids of people and stuff. Every enkai is different, you're going to experience some interesting things. Something like that.
Who pays? Is it open bar?
I was about to get to that. So most enkai are nomi hodai. A nomi hodai, which you will also see other places like at karaoke, is essentially all you can drink. Tabe hodai is all you can eat. But nomi hodai, so you usually pay, everybody pays the same fee, even if you're not going to drink, which was me. And most of the enkais I attended cost about $50 for that, and then included food, and then as much as you could drink of whatever it is you're drinking. So beer, or oolong tea. A surprising amount of people actually don't drink at the enkai because that zero tolerance policy for drinking. At least where I live, which in Gunma is like the place with the most cars in all of Japan. It's also where Initial D is set. Anybody? Anybody? Initial D? No. Okay, good. It's a show about car racing.
I know Initial D.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Gunma is where it's set. Anyway.
Yes.
So there's very little social pressure to drink at an enkai if you don't. Okay, so this is true if you're not going to drink at all. If you're just like, I don't drink, then they'll be like, okay, fine, I'll bring you some orange juice or tea. Cool. If you're like, I'm gonna drink a little bit, they're gonna be like, what's a little bit? Just like keep pouring. So yeah, tea and juice are always provided. You have to check. So there's a thing at enkai where you need to fill up other people's glasses before, like, you can't fill up your own glass. You have to fill up somebody else's before you can fill your own. Which is why I'm like, they'll be like, what do you mean a little bit? And they'll just like, you'll have like one sip, and I'm like, here you go, and then they're like, yeah, here, I have to fill my own. So there's, if you want to drink a little bit, I think that is very difficult. If you want to not drink at all, that is very easy. If you want to drink a lot, you are set. What happens at the enkai stays at the enkai.
Bottomless cup.
Yeah, literally. Except occasionally for corners.
Oh, there's a half-filled rule generally. If you don't want to drink a lot, then you just make sure there's at least half of your cup filled.
You say that, but at the enkais I went to, people would be like, my cup is empty, your cup has some space in it. And I'd be like, oh, this is so much tea. And more. They'd be like, but yeah, so be aware, like, you should also be keeping, like, pouring for other people as well. Is something to be aware of. Like, hey, your beer is empty. Have some more beer. Or what are you drinking? Have some more of that. Because it's, like, socially required. Yeah, so the food equivalent of nomi hodai is tabe hodai, which is all you can eat. And the word for a buffet is bikingu, which I just think is funny, because it's from Viking. It's like, I will come in and I will rampage this table. It's my favorite word. I've done a lot of talking too. Okay. Like ahead of schedule by a lot, but that's good. Okay, so there are a couple differences at restaurants. The first is that the server will not come to you. They will not come by and be like, how are you doing? Do you need anything? Like, they're not going to come over to you. You need to call them over. usually by shouting sumimasen, which means excuse me. Or if you're at, for some restaurants, they have a little call button. So if you look on your table and there's a button, that's going to get the waiter to you. But it's pretty easy. You just be like, sumimasen! And just like project, and they will be like, oh. This was like in our English textbook, they had this one example of like, here's some cultural differences. And it was some guy sitting at a restaurant in America. And sumimasen means excuse me, and also could mean like, I'm sorry. And he's just like sitting at the table being like, I'm sorry. And they're just like, oh yeah. That would be confusing for a Japanese accent. I was like, why are you sorry? You're just sitting there. But yeah, so you have to shout sumimasen to get their attention. And then they will come over. I actually really prefer this because then they're not like, are you ready? Are you ready now? Are you ready yet? Or you're not like sitting there being like, where is the waiter? Can I just shout for them? Is that acceptable? It's like, yes, it is. Shout for them. That's what you're supposed to do.
Thank you. I needed to know that.
Like, these are things you need to know.
Yes.
Otherwise, you will sit in a restaurant for hours. So when you pay, you take your check to the front and you pay there. And you don't need to split checks. You just tell them what you ate, and they will split it there. So you'd be like, I had the katsukare and a ramen, and they'll be like, oh, here's your bill. And you're like, okay, I will pay you this amount of cash monies. So you don't need to like say at the beginning, like, this is separate. They'll be like, we don't care. What does that mean? And as you may have guessed, my favorite part of eating in Japan is that you don't tip people. Yay, they get paid a real living wage. Why don't we do that here? I don't know.
It's not capitalistic. It's communism, I guess.
No, you pay them a real living wage and you work like anybody else in any other industry ever. I saw Life Size Together. Take that. I got to stand between its feet and its head moved and the lights and like smoke. Sorry, this is part of their, like, we want the Olympics for 2014 or 2016, and everyone's like, no. So, in terms of banking, so a lot of banks in Japan are, like, super local. Like, I'm not even kidding you, like, city banks that only have ATMs in that city. Like you cannot take money out in the next door city. I had a friend who was like, every trip she made, she was like, I have to take out like $1,000 because I cannot get money anywhere else but my city. So be aware of that. It's like there are prefectural banks and stuff. Also, a lot of banks maintain really old-fashioned banking hours. Like they will shut at 5 or 4. So if you're working, you should go on your lunch hour because they will not be open after work. There's a comment in there.
Just gonna say, aside from the local banks, there's UFJ, which tends to be everywhere, and there's the post office bank.
I was about to bring up the post office, but I didn't know about the other one, so thank you for that. So yeah, the post office in Japan also has a banking system. It's one of the very few that is accessible nationwide. You just mentioned UFJ, you said?
UFJ.
UFJ is apparently another one that is a national bank. Yep.
What about the 7-Eleven cash machines?
Also about to do that. Yeah, you guys are on top of this. So visitors to Japan, you can take out money either at the post office ATM that will accept your foreign money card, or at the 7-Bank ATM, which is usually found at a 7-Eleven convenience store. The post office is also one of several ways to send money home if that is necessary. I think that I was like the only person I knew who did it that way, because I was like, I have a bank at the post office, and I'm going to send money home that way. And my post office was like, how do we? Nobody has ever done this before. So I know a lot of other people, like, you can do it with like Lloyd's Bank, and like, there's a lot of other like, electronic ways to do it. I was like, let's use the radio.
Are the 7-Elevens countrywide, or are they more just local?
Also going to come up in a second, but yes. Yes. They think they invented 7-Eleven. That is how many there are. Convenience stores in Japan are the most convenient. Like, they are not messing around. At the convenience, you could buy snack food, sushi, onigiri, milk, eggs, bread, alcohol, manga, dirty magazines, and etc. You can also buy stamps, pay your bills, buy event tickets, and even make donations, as well as we pointed out, often taking out money at an ATM. It's pretty funny. Japan, despite its sort of futuristic reputation, this was 4 years ago, but it is a cash-based society. So many stores do not accept credit, and debit is like basically just like doesn't happen. So get used to carrying several $100s worth of cash. I think as I was leaving, they were starting to do more with the phone wallet. They had that before we did, and like your Suica card was starting to be acceptable at more stores, which is like a tap system. But like credit cards and stuff, they're just like, what do you mean? Super hard to get a credit card in Japan. I never bothered because I was like, this is just so much trouble. You do need one to buy one stuff on like Amazon.co.jp or whatever. But I don't know. I just like the sign. It was like the zoo. It was like, don't be that guy. So moving on to daily life part 2. So there isn't always a Western toilet available, so prepare to use what is affectionately known as a squatty potty. So also collect all the free tissue packets you can, as some public toilets don't provide TV. This is actually less true now than it would have been even like 10 years ago. But that is why everybody in Japan actually takes like the tissues that they hand out as advertising in like Tokyo, because like then you hold them, and when the time comes, you will get it. I got this.
I can see grandmothers having to be like, yes, we're the king of the toilet paper.
The king of the toilet paper. Yeah. I mean, my mom sent me with like a roll of toilet paper, like travel toilet paper before I left, and I didn't use that till I went to China. So it's like you're pretty good. I think the only places I encountered that actually didn't have toilet paper were like the bathrooms that they put on like the side of a mountain. So I was like, well, that's fair. I mean, this is a mountain. No reason. But on the other hand, soap and paper towels are almost never provided. So you're going to want to carry, everybody just carries actually paper towels, I don't think I've ever seen in Japan, because everybody has a small hand towel that they carry in their bag or in their pocket or around on their person. And when you go to the bathroom, you use that. And then you reuse it later. And then you wash it.
They always know what the towel is.
How eco-friendly. And also soap isn't provided, so usually they got better at my school after swine flu and stuff. They were like, oh, maybe we should wash hands. But a lot of places it's just water provided, so you just gotta rinse your hands and dry them down. If you're concerned about that, bring some like
sanitizer.
Sanitizer, that's the word I'm looking for. Again, this is the result of some of my own misadventures of like, I know where I'm going. So maps in Japan, they do not orient north. The top of the map is not north. Not usually. It could be north, but it doesn't have to be north. So instead, they orient towards whatever direction you're facing. So if you're standing looking at a map, the top of the map will be like that way from you. So if the station is behind you, the station will be behind you on the map. It will not be oriented north. This is very confusing when you're attempting to like match up Google directions. So like the Wayfinder map that's in the station, you're like, this is not the same. But yeah, that took me like half a year to discover. It was a very confusing time. Also, most Japanese are very happy to help you if you're lost, but make sure you're comfortable with whoever you ask for directions, which I assume you would do anyway, because they might walk with you. They might be like, oh yes, come with me. You're like, you're a super creepy guy. I made a decision.
That's true with Japanese people, even in America.
Yeah.
At Anime Boston this year, me and my friends got lost getting back to our hotel because we got at the wrong stop, and this guy walked like a half a mile with us just to show us what road to go to.
That's awesome. I will say, like, one of my Japanese friends came to New York City, and I was like, how's it been? And she's like, everybody is so nice. Like, they give me direction. This one guy, like, walked me partway down a road. So I was like, maybe people are just nice to foreigners. Like, wherever you are. Maybe they're just like, this person looks concerned and lost, and I'm going to help them out. Like, you know, I had a lot of, like, I never got this because apparently I never looked confused. But a lot of my friends who came to visit were like, we were looking slightly confused, and somebody was like, are you lost? Can we help you? We'll show you the way. I was like, why doesn't this ever happen to me? Jeez, I should work on my literacy face. So, onsen. This might seem a little weird, you know. The comic is like, having lived in Japan for 2 years, Josh had forgotten that we don't do the communal naked thing in Canada. We're all like, why not? But onsen are like hands down one of the best parts of living in Japan. Just look how happy he looks. Oh, it's Onsen Beach. Kuma's where I lived is kind of famous for onsen as well. So that makes it a lot in the wintertime. So like, I'm so cold because my house doesn't have central heating. I went to the onsen and I was warmed with 3 days. It's magical. But so, hot springs in Japan nowadays are usually almost always split into gender, like separate genders, so there will be a male side and a female side. So make sure you find the right room, be on top of that. Usually there's like a curtain, half curtain, that says male or female, but it's in kanji. But usually blue is boys and red is girls, so good luck. Yeah, or you could learn male and female kanji.
Just to that's this
I
thing.
mean, if you're going to start learning kanji, I also recommend entrance, exit, train station. So make sure you wash yourself at this. There are like little like stools that you sit on and little like handheld like shower things, and you need to wash yourself first. You take a shower before you get in the onsen. Otherwise, you're bringing all your dirt into the onsen, and that's just rude. Okay. Conversations are acceptable. You may be naked, but people will talk to you. So here, as with everywhere else, be prepared for Japanese people to want to practice their English with you. Like little old ladies kind of swimming over and being like, "Good afternoon. How are you?" And you're like, "I'm fine." So, depending on where you are, like in my area, we have quite a few foreigners actually. If you're up further north or out west, this might be different. So some people might actually stare at the gaijin, the naked gaijin, and that's like, what is that? Also, some onsen forbid customers with tattoos. So if you have a tattoo, they may either say you can't come in or ask you to sort of like keep it covered. Because, I mean, you might be able to gaijin smash it because they're not really super likely to be a gangster in the Japanese yakuza. But that is why they are like, we don't let people with tattoos in here because they are a Japanese gangster and we don't want them. There's a pretty strict divide. I don't know if this is lessening, but like in a lot of places that divide between like somebody with a tattoo is a gangster and anybody who like has it, like nobody who's normal would have a tattoo. So that's why that's there. My area wasn't super strong on that as far as I know, but that's because apparently a lot of our onsen were owned by the yakuza. So there's that. Oh, and last but not least, karaoke. You will sing. You will sing, and you will like it. It is a thing. Like, everybody does karaoke. But it's not like you get up in front of a bar. You may have seen this in anime or movies or whatever. You don't get up in front of a bar, you rent a room, and you just go in that room with, like, the people you know. And you just, like, you don't have to get up in front of strangers. And you just sing with those people that you know, and everybody's, like, clapping and singing along. Sometimes they have, like, a tambourine and, like, rocking out. Also, no mihonai, so you just get really super drunk, and that's why, too. But yeah, it's a thing. Every schoolgirls do it, businessmen do it. You